our audio is going to work. None of our audio is working.
Hello and welcome to Roll for Review. I almost said the Wanderers Guide. I was like, wait a minute.
Where are we?
It's been a while since we've seen everybody. Kind of end of the summer trips and plans have gotten in the way. It's kept us from recording exactly when we've wanted to. But we have a big backlog of projects to look at. And we are super excited to talk to you about all of these projects. I'm Joe. I am the creator of the Wanderers Guide, and I like to make tabletop products for a living.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Hannah, also known as Halfling Hannah, and I'm a forever DM, and I make DM resources on YouTube, Patreon, and my website, halflinghobbies.com.
Hello, I am Alex. I am a marketer and designer for the Wanderers Guide, and I'm an everyday RPG player and gamer.
And a
together,
TikTok star.
And a TikTok star.
No, we're not talking about that here. These are separate.
Well, here, together, we are Roll for Review, where the three of us like to gather up TTRPG-related Kickstarters, like Low-level parties like to gather up all the health potions they can find and show off the very best of them to you. We have each chosen 3 Kickstarters, which is hard to do because we had like a month's worth of content, but we chose 3. We debated 4, but we went with 3. And we're going to show you what's unique about them, what's special, why we picked these 3 out of everything that we've seen this month, and why you should maybe consider giving it a try. At the end of that, we're going to give it a roll for review, which is our very arbitrary number of how much we liked it.
Yeah.
Are you laughing at me, Joe? Are you laughing at how I stumble over words sometimes?
No, I'm actually laughing at something very random inside my head, which is how I would cosplay as a sexy D20.
No.
No.
The question is, what would the 1 be?
Do you guys remember? On How I Met Your Mother? If you guys ever watch that show, there's like a whole thing about like the sexy pumpkin, and they're like, how would you make a pumpkin costume sexy? And I just imagine the same thing being like,
nerds.
How would you make a D20 costume sexy?
Why did that come up?
I don't know.
Really quick, we did have a little bit of technical difficulty starting up. I am currently unable to see volume levels. Thank you, OBS. I appreciate that. But if there are any audio issues, please let us know in the comments, and I can adjust from there. So that would be super.
Awesome.
All right. So I think, Joe, you have our first Kickstarter of the night.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because I am going to talk about a project called Down We Go Infinite Edition. So this is from Tony from Plus One, who, as you might remember, just a couple of episodes ago, joined us here on Roll for Review. And so we are going to cover a project that he and a couple of his friends have launched called Down We Go, and they have decided to launch this product on GameFound. Now, I know that we talk a lot about Kickstarter projects on here, but GameFound is kind of an alternative option for crowdfunding that is very specifically only for tabletop games. So no video games, no comics, no technology, no anything like that. It is just for games. So GameFound. It was created by a really, really big board game publisher, but there have now been a couple of RPG projects that have launched on there, and Down We Go is the second one that I've seen on the platform. We covered the other one called by a company called Infinite Black a couple weeks ago. But I want to talk to you about Down We Go. So thus far, Tony has raised $7,800 of a $4,500 goal. They have 17 days left, and there are 169 backers. So congratulations. That is a very high amount of money for the number of backers that they have. So they are doing an exceptional job, and it looks like they have a lot of really dedicated fans. So let's talk a little bit about what Down We Go is, because I think it's a very interesting project, okay? It's not just because we're friends, it is because this is a really cool project. So first of all, this is a very rules-light RPG system. This is something that is meant to be, I feel like, almost casually played, because it's a very simple old school system. In fact, you don't even have an actual character that you play. You are actually playing an archetype. So one person will play the sneaky, and one person will play the mythical, the holy, and the bloodthirsty. Okay. And all of your attributes and your class and everything is basically bound up into one entire entity with just a couple of ability scores. And you only use a D20 and a D6 in order to play this entire game. So it's extremely simple. In fact, it's so simple that all of the rules, they brag about this, can fit on one page, which is pretty incredible, right?
Wow. Yeah.
How big
They
is
have
the page?
gone. What?
How big's the page?
One page.
One scroll.
But they've gone with this very black and white, old school, almost like heavy metal-esque art style. It has very like heavy metal album from the 80s kind of vibes to it. And that's what they're really trying to like evoke with this. Now, here's kind of the big thing that you need to know about this. Most of this game, from what I can understand, is played through almost as a dungeon crawl rather than like an RPG campaign. In fact, a lot of the artwork suggests that you are going to be looking at a lot of like isometric maps or top-down view maps, and kind of actually like running these like pre-scripted maps for your characters and like playing them almost like you would like a pen and paper board game, so kind of in that way. I mean, there's still a dungeon master and you're playing like a character and making choices and everything, but it feels like you're really kind of playing through like a lot of these like almost pre-written scenarios, because so much of this is based upon you going into this like almost infinite labyrinth like dungeon to get treasure and to bring it back to the city and have interactions there and then go back. And in fact, there's even talks about like this expansion material that's used to explore other areas outside of just this one mega dungeon and like the main city that you're in. It looks really cool. It looks very simple, to the point. It's very easy to see like what kind of features they're trying to evoke and what the audience that they're trying to get is. It's like, hey, do you like playing RPGs, but you're not into like the big quest and story? I've heard one RPG person describe it to me as, hey, you might be trying as a DM to write Game of Thrones, but a lot of your players just want to kick in a door and fight a bunch of goblins. And I can definitely understand that sometimes. Sometimes as the DM, you can get in your own head about how epic of a story that you're weaving. And sometimes your players are like, I kind of just want to kill goblins, man. Like, let's just do that, you know? And as the DM, I can sometimes understand that, the hubris that comes along with trying to craft like this beautiful campaign. And this is just saying like, hey, if you really just want to kick in doors and fight goblins, this might be the game for you, because there's a lot of doors and there's probably a lot of goblins behind them. It looks great. Tony has definitely delivered a great job. I am also really excited about just like the whole idea of more RPGs being on GameFound, having more accessibility to that platform for that audience. I think it looks fantastic, and I think it looks really cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely has that old school feel, which is always nice, especially with the more and more things that are added onto like 5e especially. Sometimes it's nice just to go old school and just kill some stuff, you know? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I really like, I'm looking at kind of the options that there are here. Obviously, there's digital softcover and hardcover, and you'll go into a little bit more detail about those in terms of price, but I love the hardcover design. I think it's super clean and something that would really sit well like on a shelf and looking right out at you. I think it's really, really interesting. And overall, I think, like you said, the style really matches with the game. I think I'm looking at Infinopolis.
Infinopolis, the infinite city.
You know what it is? That L looked like a T, and I was like, Infinopotis? But I really love the art pieces on the left. It's super gritty, super dark, but I absolutely love it. I think it's really, really interesting and draws your attention in.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as like price goes, they're definitely giving you a ton of options. I will say, not so GameFound does this thing where instead of ordering just the pledges from cheapest to most expensive, they let you decide how you want to present them. Like, this is the number one best value, and then you can kind of go from there. So you kind of have to like look and bounce around to like review them the way that we usually do. But understand that there is basically a digital level. There is also, and that is no, okay, so there's not a digital only. From what I can see, there is not a digital only backing level, but there's a $5 and you just get the one page of rules.
Just one page of rules.
The one page of rules, you can get that, and that's in print and digital. So that's why it's not a digital only version. There's also a zine version of this, which I think is really clever. So this is like, they're like, hey, we're putting all of this into a zine format. So kind of like a cheap staple bound like booklet that you can get. and they're doing that for $20. So if you like this idea, you can get in on this project for $20. That's pretty great.
Yeah, that feels right for that style and everything too. It feels like it should be a zine. I like that. The old school style. I like it.
But it's also a lot of content. Like I think that they said it's like 60 something pages. Maybe I've got that wrong. If it's anything, it's more than that. But like minimum
50 to 62.
Yeah. Oof. So that's a lot.
A lot of dungeon.
And then they also have this Deep Delver, which is the hardback, and that's $45. But you also get the digital with that, which is fantastic.
I like it when they do that.
Yes. And then there's some other ones where you can get like more content and a t-shirt. I have spoken before about my own personal thoughts on offering t-shirts and socks and stuff like that as
we have seen some with socks. That was weird.
Yeah, like pledge stuff. Like I just feel like why do I want to offer Wanderer's Guide underwear? I don't know. But if that's something that
so many jokes just came to my head, and
I'm not. Nope. PG.
So yeah, like that is wear them with my sexy D20 costume.
Nope.
Then that is, you got to get the brand out there, guys. Got to get it out there.
Gotta get the brand out there.
Brand awareness, but also
Anyways, restart. Okay, so this is kind of the pledge offerings that they're going. The prices feel right. The prices feel good.
Yeah.
Soft cover, hard cover, sheet of paper. They give you 3 different options there to dig in, and there's like some bigger options that have more offerings there. You can go all the way up to 500, which is where you're going to get multiple books so that each one of the persons that's playing this game with you can have a book of their own to play through, which seems like it might be a good opportunity as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do here. Check this out. Check out Tony. He is one of the most amazing human beings in the space, talking about these like indie RPGs. I would love to have him back on our show at some time. We'd love to help work with him in any way that we can. But we love Tony. We love what they do over there at Plus One XP. And if you want to go support their project, go over to GameFound and check out Down We Go. Hannah, why don't you tell us about your first project?
Whoa.
What was your role?
What's your role?
It has been way too long since
I was like, whoa.
All right. I am going to give Tony's project a solid 15, but I have some modifiers. I am going to give it a +1 for the really well done use of just saying like black and white artwork and like using this like full aesthetic. And I'm going to give it another +1 because from the content that I've seen on this thing is chock full of cool isometric maps.
My favorite.
I'm really excited about looking at some like
love
really
a good isometric map. I backed a Kickstarter that was just a little zine of isometric maps, and it's great. Love it.
Awesome.
Cool.
So that is Down We Go. It is going to end up with a 17 from me. Super high score. Really happy with the way that project looks. We're gonna back it. Really excited.
Well deserved. Very well deserved. All right, we're going to stay in the old school mindset as we go to my first project of the night. Don't tell mom and dad, which I feel like just has to be said. Like, don't tell mom and dad, because that's what my sister said all the time after she hurt me. So this is an incredibly cool TTRPG that I'm really excited to talk about, but I love their little intro here. Like, I couldn't summarize it better, so I'm going to read just a little part of this. You gotta face the facts. Things go bump in the night. They also crawl and creep and howl. They pass packages, land spaceships, and steal toys. They eat brains, suck blood, and sometimes they even ground you. The grown-ups won't believe you, and some will even try to stop you. But if you don't save this town, no one will. So whatever you do, don't tell mom and dad. So in this RPG, you play as kids that are in your hometown. And what I want to focus on for this one is the super cool features that they have created to go along with this, because playing as a kid has its own like special set of challenges. So they've added some incredibly cool features that I want to highlight. The first is the town map. So you actually, before you start playing, you all sit down together and you build your map together, putting 20 different places on the map, and you choose what location that they're in. This could mean that the woods could be next to the cul-de-sac, or it could be next to the trailer park. You want to know where the mall is versus the witch's house, because all of this determines how long it takes you to get to these different locations. Because you're a kid, you only have access to wheels. So this is a skateboard, a scooter, a bicycle. All of them take a certain amount of time to get different places. And you also still have a curfew and a bedtime. So you have to make sure that you can do everything you need to do in a day and still get back to do your chores before curfew, before your dad gets home at 5. So that's a really cool, first of all, feature of it. The next awesome feature that I want to talk about is the kids. So they have 4 categories of kids that you can play as, and they are the nerd, the weirdo, the jock, and the rascal.
The rascal's just flipping people off.
Sitting on a box of fireworks.
How do we make them be a rascal? Just flipping people off.
She's got a firework and she's just flipping them off. It's the best. God. So those are your 4 categories. And then within those categories are a whole bunch of skills that you can put your points into to kind of create your own unique kid and have them do the different things that you want them to do. So you pick one of those 4, which I think is absolutely perfect. I love it. Another feature is firepower. So your kids, you're not going to have access to these huge weapons or guns or anything like that. So the biggest amount of firepower you have is fireworks. And you have different types of fireworks that you have to get, you have to hide. There's some risk involved in using them, which is what that rascal's sitting on there. They're good with the fireworks. And then finally, you have the Scaredometer. Because you are kids dealing with all of this stuff happening in your town that can be really scary. So based on how you roll, so first of all, the GM is called the guidance counselor. It's I freaking love. I just love that. But your guidance counselor would ask you for a fear check. And if you fail, then you take another level in the fear-o-meter, right? And if it gets to a certain point, you start getting these negatives in your rolls when you're trying to do things because you're so scared that you can't do it. So last one of these amazing features is cool points, which I'm totally stealing because this is the best ever. So it's a D20 system, right? Just like D&D. And you have a natural 20 that happens. And they said that they wanted to take that natural 20 feeling that you as the player get when you roll it, like you get super excited and pumped. And they wanted to make it to where your character got pumped too and excited. So every time you roll a natural 20, you get a cool point. And you can use these cool points to do things throughout the game, such as take away disadvantage, maybe give everyone a pep talk and take down that Scaredometer so that maybe people don't have as many disadvantages. Like you can even use it to automatically succeed on a check and look super cool doing it. Like it's just such an ingenious feature and I love it. Oh, and there's one more, sugar. So they point out that sugar is a drug that
it
for some reason
says drug.
It does. It says sugar is definitely a drug and one that kids have ready access to for some reason. So they actually make it a feature in the game where you can stay up late past your curfew without being tired, or you can get the jock can get pumped before he does something, give him some extra strength, like a sugar rush. But then after that sugar wears off, then you get the negatives, right? You get that sugar crash. You get the crash and the downfall from it. So those are the features that are in this that I just found absolutely phenomenal.
I need to say something about this.
Okay.
This taps in to like one of my all-time favorite genres of stuff, which is the neighbors might be serial killers.
Yes.
Right?
Or in this case, aliens.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
that whole like something weird is happening in our normal town, or like the teacher, like there was like this really cheesy horror movie called The Faculty that came out in the 90s where like all of the staff at this school were like alien, like
Isn't that a Doctor Who episode?
I love.
You know what it reminds me of? Even like the art on it reminds me of the Goosebumps series from when I was a kid.
It's like
where you just got these kids and this stuff is happening that's scary and they're freaking out. Nobody believes them, right?
It is a straight up combo of Goosebumps, Goonies, it's like Stranger Things. Like there's definitely a combination. Like the character, the kid in the front looks like the kid that does the truffle shuffle.
Well, okay, so there is actually a genre for all of those things, like Stranger Things, Goonies, all of that. It's E.T. It's called Kids on Bikes, right? And that is like an actual genre. Like you can look up and just say Kids on Bikes, and that is basically a genre of kids that go around on their bikes through their neighborhood and like weird stuff happens to them. And I love that genre. Like, in fact, there actually is an RPG called Kids on Bikes that deals with the same type of stuff. But this one seems like it has like so many cool features. I love.
They really thought through what it is that makes those things like what they are and so good, and adding those in here. It's incredibly well done, it looks like, and I'm super excited about it.
All I'm saying is if Hannah backs this, I will play it live on air.
Ooh, this would be a great playthrough one, I think.
Because you know what? For the PDF, it's only $9.
Good segue.
Yeah, right. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Segues.
If you want segues, no, this is before segues. If you want the physical book and the PDF, it's $25, which is super cool. I'm just making sure it's a soft cover.
Yep.
And you do actually get the book. I have to double check because sometimes it's a code to buy the book. And then it just goes up from there with some cool merchandise that you can get. But soft cover book and PDF, $25, I think is an incredible value for that. There's going to be some adventures that you can run in this. There's going to be lots of stuff. Did you guys see the character sheets?
Yes.
I
like them.
Cool are the character sheets? Did anybody else have that freaky cat clock in their kitchen?
No,
we avoided that like the plague.
Its tail moved and its eyes went back and forth. Yeah, no, my grandma had one. It was terrifying.
I like the layout a lot. I think it's very smart. I actually do want to point that out because you can, like, for all the clocks, you draw the hands as to when your dinner is, when your curfew is, when you have to sleep. I think it's very smart.
Your sugar levels are in the soda pop. Your wheels are on the skateboard.
I would just love the idea of just like, hey, there's just like the possibilities of like, oh, you're in the suburbs, or you're in this gated community, or you're in this trailer park, like down this dirt road, or you're like in the alley behind like a Walmart seeing creepy stuff happen. Like, I really love the possibilities that like just like small town trouble that kids get into kind of stuff happens.
This is definitely the Kids on Bike TTRPG you didn't know you needed, but now you do. So go ahead and back it because it's fantastic. And for me, it's an 18.
Great pick.
Phenomenal. It's amazing. I love everything about it.
All right, an 18. Add that onto the screen there.
Ooh, okay.
Totally get it.
I know what my question at the end is going to be now.
Ooh. Write it down.
All right, so we are heading into what I like to call the Star Power Project. Boy, oh boy. Tanares RPG 5e has raised almost $1.4 million. RPG Adventure supplement for 5th edition with Ed Greenwood, Amy Vorpahl, Skip Williams, and many other legends.
I just have to say, the reason I did not choose this project is because it intimidated me to cover it.
But here's the thing. There's a lot going on, but it's the thing that I do want to really talk about this is the star power of this project. Because in the end, it is a very detailed project that has a lot of story, a lot of characters, some 3D models, which we do see a lot of. We generally do. But the fact of the matter is, this has and I'm just going to go down the list here. Ed Greenwood is the creator of Forgotten Realms, starting there. Bruce Nesmith, lead designer on Skyrim, worked on AAA titles Fallout 3 and 4, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, D&D projects, Ravenloft box set. Amy Vorpal, professional dungeon master work and host for Geek and Sundry. Skip Williams, legendary Gygax AD&D playtest table, TSR and Wizards of the Coast Dragon Magazine Sage Advice column for over a decade. Rich Redman, variety. He worked on a variety of 3rd edition D&D books with Wizards of the Coast. Anthony Pryor, Sword and Sorcery Sacred Lands. All of these amazing people, Robert Schwab, Shane Hensley, Jeff Grubb, all these people who have insane experience in this industry have just come together to make the Justice League of projects. And boy, oh boy, you look at this and go, yes. Yeah, there's the risk to backing something like this is going, they just have such a resume. It's hard to imagine this project not satisfying you once you get it. But what is it? Obviously, let's jump into this here. It is. Let's start with this because they actually do a really good job explaining this in the very beginning, and it says options for beginners and entertainment for experts. And I love that line. I think that's a great way to market your product for people who might, for example, like Joe said, who might be intimidated by this type of project if you want to back it. Player's Guide to Tanares. Beginners, there are 4 easy-to-learn new classes with streamlined options and powers. So you're getting some new classes there that are really easy to understand. For experts, there are 4 different hard-to-master new classes with ultimate customization options. So it runs the gambit for beginners and experts in terms of new classes. You can create your own super team, choose specializations, headquarters. So essentially it's kind of like how they all came together to work on this. You can actually do the same thing. You can make your own headquarters. You can design a flag, track your team's prestige and career, and you can create beasts and a special team sheet, things like that. There's an entire source book, and it's an entire complex geography, right? So it comes with a whole book, which is 100 plus new monsters, 100 plus points of interest, political, culturally diverse, fragmented world. You can find connections with other planes and underground realms with other timelines. So there are all these different things that include that. There's also another book that has characters, dungeons, and experiences, and that is 300 pages. So again, these come with this project. There's also a bunch of investigations of murders and exploring epic regions and ruins. There's virtual tabletop content. Any pledge tier that includes all digital files will receive maps, monsters, and items. Also, there's a solo version as well. So there is a lot. There's storylines. There's the entire world, and all of these books are around 300 pages. So it is just chock
Too much. Too much.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's almost overload, right? Like it's almost like it's a wave of content that's like, oh my gosh, this is like, woo, like a massive thing.
It is a lot. It is a lot. But it is, honestly, if you look at this and go, okay, you have all these people that have worked on this, I can see why it's a lot. But because they've put so much work into this, and it comes across. But one of my favorite parts is the minis.
Yep, I just saw the gold dragon. I was like, oh, he's gonna talk about that.
Also, Joe, there is a double-sided A1 poster map if you want to check that out. There's a beautiful map.
Just throw you a little bit.
Beautiful books. Let's go down to these miniatures here because they are absolutely gorgeous, and you can actually get them painted as well. The gold dragon. Look at that.
It's gorgeous.
Look at the size comparison to the medium mini.
This thing is huge. So satisfying it's like this to put on the table.
Oh my gosh! You're just dropping this and boom.
Oh.
They even have a video of it painted. It's absolutely gorgeous. So there's a lot here, obviously. There's a lot. I do also want to open up, there's a sample PDF that we can kind of take a look at as well. And taking a look at layout, it's very similar to what you expect in a Wizards of the Coast book. Obviously, we have a lot of people on this project who've worked for Wizards of the Coast, so they're going to make it pretty similar to what they've done in the past, which is fine. You're not seeing anything crazy here. You're more likely going to get that value in the content. And boy, oh boy, you are buried in content. So,
yeah.
What's this thing?
So here's the
Numeral?
one thing that I think is really great about this project, but also maybe it's also a detractor depending on how you look at it. The campaign setting for this is very specific. And I was like watching the video of this when I was like deciding what project to review. And the one thing that like made me just kind of like go, maybe, I don't know, was like when they were talking about all of the like details of the world that they've built and how like all forms of like armed gatherings are forbidden, and it's like this like autocratic military state, and that like one of the ways that you gain power is by searching out and slaying these like epic dragons. I was like, wow, this is like a lot. There's like and it's a very specific like kind of like from what I could perceive, there's like a very specific like this is how the world works type of setting for this campaign, and that was something where I didn't find it as malleable as what I would want something like this to be.
That's very fair. I think with something as detailed as this, it's very difficult. This is, you get this, you follow this to a T. This is not a homebrewer's big thing. It is.
This is the world that you play in.
This is the world.
Yeah.
It is.
It gives you everything for that world. Literally,
you get everything. If you want a whole world, you
Everything.
get everything down to the Tolkien level description of trees. Apparently,
Yeah. I
But-
do kind of want these dragon minis.
the dragon
oh my
minis
God.
are gorgeous. Hannah, what do you think in terms of all this content?
I'm still scrolling.
Yep.
Still scrolling. Ooh, undead dragon. I like that.
They obviously have done a ton of work, and here's the thing. What are you going to spend on this, right? What is going to be your pledge level? If you just want to get, in my opinion, and there's obviously one digital book for $25. That is kind of the starting point. But what I would suggest, if you want to kind of get in on this project and just kind of start, they have a $50 hardcover book plus PDF. And essentially what you can do is choose one of the 3 books that I described, either the player's guide or the dungeons or any of the other books. You choose one of them to get as a hardcover. The rest will be given to you in digital. I see that as actually a great option if you have multiple books like this. You get one that kind of like is the one you carry, and then if you need any other details, you just open it up on digital. I think that's very smart. And an easy way to get people in on a project that is huge and could potentially cost hundreds of dollars, as we will talk about on the rest of these. You could get all digital books and files for $69 instead of that one hardcover book. That's $19 more. Personally, I don't know what you guys think, but wouldn't you think that you could potentially offer all these books for also $50 in digital? I mean, what do you think about either all digital or one print, the rest digital? What do you think? I mean, $69 for all digital seems a little bit. I would place physical higher.
That list is pretty long.
It's a very difficult proposition because I'm very used to thinking about this in terms of like one book, right? Like where it's like, this is what I've come to expect for one book of digital content, general like market price, right? And so sometimes we see something a little higher and we're like, oh, it's a little higher. And sometimes we see something that's a little lower and we're like, oh, it seems like a steal. Like anytime you see like a $10 for the PDF, you're like, whoa. I have never seen this much content for a single project. I am pretty sure that I have never seen this much content for a single Kickstarter project, right?
Absolutely not.
Usually, and I'm not saying that there isn't this much content for other projects. If you remember, we covered the monster manual for the like horrific for like Ghostfire. Like Grim Hollow, right?
Yeah, Grim Hollow, yeah.
So like we covered like the one book for that, but they had 2 other books. So they were like, here's the DM's guide, here's the player's guide, here's the campaign setting, here's the monster.
That was their
So
monster
all
manual.
together, that might be as much content as what you're looking at here.
Yep.
But specifically, this is all being offered at once, which
Yeah.
seems like a tidal wave of content.
It is a tidal
So
wave.
$69.
That's fair.
It
That is
seems
very
pretty
fair.
good, yeah, because it's not just the books. Like if you look
That's
on
true.
here,
It is not just the
adventure
books. There's
map
maps
packs.
and items and
yeah,
tokens.
VTT ready
is
items,
true.
monsters,
And
tokens.
there's
like,
only one thing I can say about that price.
Nice. 3 books with over 750 pages.
I wonder if they
Previous
did
price
it that
ranking.
way
Yeah.
because they're like nerds
Dylan,
would
I agree.
totally buy this just because of the number.
Right.
They'll laugh and buy it.
Now here's where most people have backed, and probably where I would back if I were interested in getting this product. The Essential Kit. $129 gets you the hard slipcase with the beautiful illustrated interior and exterior, gorgeous cover, a Game Master screen, all the books in hardcover and digital, double-sided A1 poster map, and get all hardcover books in a hard slipcase that'll protect, and a free classes pack. So there's all of that for $129. Honestly, if you wanted to get in on this project and you had the income and you just wanted to get your money's worth, the Essentials pack.
Yeah, and if this is your style and you're gonna play here like a lot,
Go for it.
Totally worth it. Yeah, you have everything that you need. Side note, did you see that they have a race that looks like Thanos?
Let me go to that.
They have a
all the way at
Thanos
the
race.
bottom.
Oh, that's cool.
They do.
There's just so much here. I think.
But Thanos is also related to Grimace from the McDonald's cartoons. So like that's the same race, right? Those are like from the
Yes.
same planet.
Apparently.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Talmacoos.
You know, Grimace is supposed to be a McNugget, right? Which is
he?
very odd. Yeah, he's supposed to represent a McNugget, which is very disturbing.
Oh my god. That's a whole
don't
other
like
conversation.
that. I don't like
Okay,
that.
so going back to there are a bunch of other there's the miniatures and the cards. Only if you want those, you pay $179. You get all the miniatures and the cards for those miniatures. $179 for just that. Which you're getting a ton of miniatures. You're getting a ton of cards for those miniatures. You're getting the Penumbral pack, the Scenario pack, Classes pack, Character pack, Villains pack, and all applicable stretch goals. Or you get the Super Kit, the RPG, and the minis. This is the I am shelling out version. Okay?
Yeah.
$249. But, I mean, imagine again, Hannah, like you said, dropping that giant dragon on the table.
It would be very
and going,
satisfying.
Boom!
Boom.
So
How do you like me now?
this is an insanely, obviously, successful project. I have to give this a roll here. Personally, this is not the kind of, and I'm just going to be honest here because this is my opinion. It is not my kind of project. I like being able to, look at something, understanding it really quickly, and there's a ton of content here. This is not something I would immediately back, especially not as a DM. It may be more enticing for people who are DMs and those who don't prefer to homebrew. This is definitely enticing with the star power that it has. Joe, you and Hannah, you guys are homebrewers. You guys mainly homebrew. So I bet you look at this and go, yeah, this is kind of, but this is also kind of.
I don't know why I'm not excited about it. Like, I feel like I should be.
I back a lot of stuff similar to this. I prefer it to be more malleable. And the one thing about this project that made me a little bit uneasy is how fixed they're like, this is the world we've created and I don't know, I can't speak truthfully. This is only by my first impressions. It seems like a very constrained idea, which is cool because they're saying this
depends
is
on the player.
world. But it just did not, when I looked at Ouroboros, right? When we looked at that campaign Ouroboros, there was something about that just said, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I look at this one, and while it seems awesome, I can't pick out the reasons why I think that. So my brain kind of crosses wires and goes, this is just too much content. And I kind of shut down a bit.
I think a big part of it is that nothing feels unique to me. this feels like more of the same D&D stuff that we've always gotten, just like a bunch of it. And I'm just not as excited about that as some
That's fair.
things that are more unique. It doesn't. I think that's where I'm at.
That's fair.
It's like it feels very vanilla in a way. I don't know why.
I think here's the thing. When you have a team like this who have worked in the industry, you are definitely getting the things you like. If you like playing 5e and you like the things you do, then when you do it and you get this. You get this thing that you know is going to be enthralling with detail, and you're going to be completely, you know exactly where you're going to go as the DM. It's chock full of every detail you're going to need, and you like that. This is for you. But if you're someone who likes a little bit more of the organic, a little bit more of the flavor, a little bit more of something new, this is most likely not for you, and that's perfectly fine. I think but for the people who like the essential, the basic of what this is down to a T, this is like the top tier of what you're gonna get if you like that. And I think from this side, you know, this is Roll for Review is full of, you know, us three, we like the homebrew, we like the more unique, and that's obviously our opinion, but we are not going to argue the fact that this is a successful project for people who obviously would love it.
Heck yes.
So I'm going to give this a roll
and those
here.
dragons, though.
This is high. This is a homebrew that has been created from start to finish by the best people in the industry.
Yeah.
But it has
100%.
been finished.
Yes.
Which is what it is. This is done. So this is a world that was created for you to play in. This is not a world for you to create.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a roll. And again, might not be the game for us or the project for us. But as a designer and a marketer and people who are, you know, you guys are DMs and we all play RPGs, we have to acknowledge the fact that this is amazing. This is tons of content, and this has a lot to offer everyone who's backing it. So I'm going to give this a 17 base roll and a +2 for content. And miniatures and just the largest project. Star power, all
Super
of this
fair.
craziness.
No t-shirt.
No t-shirts.
That surprises me.
So those are our first 3 projects. We are going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be back in a second.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe.
You've been doing that for the past few episodes where you come back like,
I had a bit.
Welcome
I had a
back.
bit. I'm gonna do my bit.
Okay,
Leave me
we'll let you
alone.
do your bit.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm addicted to backing tabletop products on Kickstarter.
Hi, Joe. That was not planned.
It was a bit. It was a bit. I was doing a bit. Since the beginning, so I've been backing for many years, but since the beginning of 2021, I have backed, since we started this show, I've backed
Been a backer for 20 years.
like 80 projects on Kickstarter. Which is a lot.
That hurts in the gut.
Yeah.
Joe is the super backer.
Yes. So get the nice little super backer tag on my name. But because of that, my Facebook and social media algorithms
I bet.
are so bad because basically, like, Zuckerberg is like, hey, I'm going to show you exactly what you want to see. And for the last 3
Evil
weeks,
man.
I have never been able to scroll Facebook without seeing an ad pop up for Quest-O-Nomicon. So finally, when it launched on Kickstarter, I was like, I'm gonna talk about Quest-O-Nomicon because they got me.
And then Facebook was like, yes, do our bidding.
I was like, you got my number, and that's okay. Call me anytime you want, because I am your person. So Quest-O-Nomicon, a 5e compendium of early level quests and adventures led by the comical and slightly clumsy Sir Nominous. And this is becoming like a thing where like certain big like little Kickstarter projects are like putting a little avatar. I think we looked at Seeker's Guide to Twisted Taverns and it had like the little bard tiefling, and this one has this little clumsy skeleton mage. But launched today, and this is, Hannah, you will probably know this person, very famous YouTube creator in the D&D space called XP to Level 3.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep,
and
hilarious stuff.
Yes, really, really fantastic stuff. And they have raised $168,000 with 1,800 backers in just a few short hours. So this project could very easily hit 1 million by the time it's done. It has 31 days left to go. It literally just launched a couple hours ago since we're talking about this episode. But I want to talk a little bit about why I thought this project was cool and what makes it different from other projects that I have not seen before. So what this book is that makes it really, really cool is you are going to get 10 different stories that have different, in each one of these stories has two separate level 1 quests that you can basically take the adventure on, and each one of those will spin off into from a level 1 shot to a level 2 adventure and a level 3 adventure for each one of these 10 different stories. And each one of them also has an interchangeable bad guy that you can put into your thing. So what is this? This is a booster for people that are looking to kick off an RPG campaign. This is made for low-level DMs and low-level parties to get started in a campaign by giving them all of the stuff that they need, creating the bad guy for them, giving them the quests, the NPCs, the items, the dungeons, and saying, poof, you have started your quest. Here is the first 3 levels worth of quests that you're going to go on. And you get a lot of cool options. If you're like, I don't really want to do a ghost, they're like, well, you could also put a hag into that position for the bad guy. And they kind of like give you a lot of these different things to play with a lot of very unique settings. There's a pirate setting and something that's more like a Wild West setting and a like crypt setting. There's all of these different adventures that you can go on with some really cool things. So
I like it.
What's that?
I said I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah,
this is what we had just talked about. This is the definition of something that is extremely malleable. This is not saying, here's the world that you're going to play on. They're like, make a world and choose an adventure and it's going to fit in there. Just put it somewhere where it's going to work. Like you could take this product and the Wanderer's Guide product and use them. You could just say, this is where we're doing it at, and this is the story that we're doing, and you have got, like, you can do something like that. And I like something that's as easy to do as that. They have a lot of content in here. There is a ton of stuff, but I really like that this is kind of like a, hey, are you DMing for your very first time? Is your party starting a brand new D&D group at level 1? Here is what you need. Here is this is Minds of Phandelver times 10 is what this is.
Yes, because it really doesn't give you a lot to start that. Good Lord, the little book and nothing else. Can I just say how in love I am with their DM screen option on here? Because so many times we see just a DM screen that's just art. This is like a new take on DM screens that I am so jealous I don't have. It's magnetic, guys. Magnetic. And the cards and the initiative trackers and stuff are magnets. And you can just stick them on there on the screen. Like, you're finally using that space. Oh, I got way too excited.
And so I was going to talk about the screen. It also has all of these different papers
and hangers.
that you can say, I want to hang this paper up on this panel and this paper up on this panel. And it gives you like the options to customize how you want your DM screen to look. I am a big fan of like DM screens that give you options as opposed to just
being a piece of paper.
I hate it when it's just art. It's just art and I'm like, why am I paying for this?
Is the panels that you can switch out, are those based on the adventure? Like, does that give you the stuff for the adventure?
No,
that would be super cool.
It says reference tables, storytelling tools, encounter charts, adventure specific references. Yeah,
that's super cool. That's very helpful.
And that's something that we tried to do with the Wanderer's Guide too, is like we made our DM screen because we are more trying to tap into the world builder audience. Our DM screen is specifically made to have world building references so that you can like very quickly look at what's on that GM screen and say, this is how I'm going to build my world, right? And have like a lot of really cool references right there off the bat.
Condition flags. There's magnetic condition flags.
Also miniatures.
And minis. The minis look great too. Did you see that swamp pack?
Great. I love
Alex, what do you think about this project, man?
I think this is really, really cool. I love the uniqueness of this. It's like it's not the layout of the overall project in terms of like the book and the story is what we're used to seeing. But the colors and the characters are very unique and they are really, really interesting. And for example, I'm looking at the DM screen, you see these bright colors, these mountains, these bright blues that are very, very attracting. And the last project that we talked about kind of had these more subdued colors. And these ones really, they touch on more unique character styles. I also love the dice tomb. I think that's really, really cool. It's
a natural one in his eye.
I love it. I think it's super stylized, which I really like. I like seeing a project that goes, we're going to make this look really fun, really cool, in a really unique style that you're kind of not used to seeing. And I think it's really, really smart. I love it.
But it's also super useful.
Exactly.
It is just completely useful. And I love that.
I wish I had this right now because I am actually starting a D&D campaign in which I am the DM, but I'm also playing a character, and I am playing with my wife and my 4-year-old daughter.
Aww.
So we are just playing like a 3-party group, and I am all playing as a DM and a character just to make it 3 characters and stuff. But it's really just to teach my 4-year-old daughter how to play D&D.
I was about to be like, Joe, are you cheating on us?
Yeah, and I would love to have something like this to give myself the inspiration to kick off a good lighthearted story, because this is what it feels like. It feels like it's trying to tap into that almost like lighthearted, like fun type of element that D&D is so well known for, and that XP to level 3 is also well known for. Is very like fun, happy content. So let's talk about prices. There's nothing shocking here. You got a $25 PDF, you got a $55 book, and you're going to get a dice and a dice bag. Okay. Some really cool stuff there. $55. That's a great option. Okay. Now we take a jump to $95. So we've added $40. What have we gotten? We've gotten some player stands with some cardboard miniatures that you can punch out and put into your little stands.
Yep.
You've got some encounter maps. Okay. That's what you're getting for $40. It seems like the value is probably there for what you're going to get. They don't show a lot of monsters. I hope it's more than just what they're showing, but I'm sure there will be more, but that's what you're getting.
I have a quick question. I wonder if the monsters are an add-on, because if you could get the $25 or the $55, or for example the Quest-O-Nomicon PDF plus the PDF of the monsters and then print them out yourself. I mean, there's a lot of DIY options there. Personally, for me, if I had that option to get the PDF plus a PDF of the characters, I would cut them out myself and just put them on some cardboard, to be honest.
It looks like the miniatures are just the BBEG for each one of the quests. It doesn't look like they're giving you a ton of miniatures, just the ones that you need for the quests.
Yeah, just for the minis.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we take a jump up to $135, so another $40 jump. But I think this is where you're actually going to see more value. So in this one, you're going to get the GM screen, which we've talked about how awesome it is, the trinkets and treasure collection, the BBEG miniatures, and the NPC and monster card deck. So you get some reference cards. And then, of course, you've got your, I'm going to drop some money on this project. You've got your deluxe edition. You've got your super cool metal dice and your super fancy dice vault. Really cool stuff there. But that's, again, you're dropping like dough on that project. Yes. So I really think most people are going to come in here and probably want to spend either the 55 or the jump to 135, because that GM screen is just sick. Really like this would be a great thing if you're just going to get into D&D for the very first time. This $135 pledge is a really good value to really boost your abilities as a DM, because I think this product line will really help a new DM get their feet under them very quickly.
I agree.
Be aware, though, that it is a year out. This isn't until July of 2022. So if you're looking to start DMing and you want to use this to start DMing,
you got some time.
It's going to be a bit. So keep that in mind.
I've got to roll this. I am actually just going to give it a really solid roll. I'm not going to give it any modifiers. This is just going to be a solid 19.
Absolutely.
This is a really strong project. It has a really unique approach, in my opinion, to what they're offering. This is not the same stuff that you see a ton of. This is a really cool, clean take on some interesting ways to present content. And I really like it. I like this like 10 unique settings with 30 adventures for low-level players. I like it. I like it a lot. I love the GM screen. I really appreciate what's going on here, and I think +3 to XP, you've knocked out of the park with your very first project. So congratulations. I'm really excited. Good job.
Good stuff. Okay, moving on to mine, we're going to keep the unique aspect going with Historica Arcanum, the city of Crescent. This is a 5e compatible tool. They have raised $50,000. They've got 889 backers, 14 days left to go. Plenty of time to look at this, but we're going to start out with a geography lesson, because this setting is specific to the Near East, which is not the Middle East. We had this whole talk. The Near East, you're looking at like Egypt, Istanbul. You're looking at, if you want to go super far history, Assyrian Empire, Mesopotamia. If you remember middle school, this is the Fertile Crescent, right? Where civilization like started. That's what we're talking about here. The city of Crescent, which is where they get it from, the Fertile Crescent. Now you know. Okay, knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe. Okay, so there are some really cool things in here. And I am a history nerd, like hardcore. I love history. And this is done right. They first of all point out that they have done their research, that this is not some weird stereotype where they're just throwing in a little bit of flair in there. This is historically accurate and written by people in this area. So this is a much needed cultural infusion into D&D 5e that I could not be more happy about. They take traditional monsters that come from that area, like the genie, and they do it right. They specifically say, this is not an elemental on steroids, and this is not a blue guy coming out of a lamp. This is real history and folklore out of here. This is where Vlad Tempest was from. So that's why the vampire's on the front here. If you didn't know, Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tempest, that we get our Dracula from. So he's in here and done correctly. This whole thing is just a giant setting of how to run games in this area with that Near Eastern flair to it. You've got these coffee shops. You've got, one of my favorites is the Bard subclass. That's College of Shadowcasters, where they make the shadows on the wall and they come to life in order to help them and aid them. You've got a Warlock Genie Master, where they've summoned this otherworldly being and bound it inside of themselves through a deal. So you have this constant interplay with this character having this genie bound to them, right?
Oh,
you
I
have
really want that
professions. It's beautiful. God, it is beautiful. Like I almost cried reading this because it's just so good. You've got professions. So you can actually focus your game on professions if you want to, like we saw with Avatar. When they introduced that aspect, same thing here. You've got that aspect to this. And then, of course, you have new spells, items, and feats all flavored with this incredibly rich area. And I'm overwhelmed and so happy. So they also give you, okay, breathe. They also give you a toolbox for alternate history campaigns.
Oh my gosh.
So you, if you're a history nerd like me and you want to run a campaign in like a certain time in history, like the Babylonian Empire, the Assyrian Empire, Mesopotamia, things like that, they give you a whole toolbox for converting that into a fantasy historical setting and what that alternative looks like.
I need that bard subclass.
That bard subclass is dope.
Right now. As a bard,
The warlock
I need
subclass
it.
is dope.
Here's the one thing that I looked at on the page that I thought was really cool and unique is a plethora of adventures and side quests. Each is marked with a theme: action, intrigue, lighthearted fun, exploration, and horror, so that you can basically tailor your session based on the theme that you want to evoke. So you can say, oh, I want to do something lighthearted, and it's like, here's all the lighthearted quests. Ooh, you know what? I want to do something very creepy. Here's all of the horror-based ones. And I like how they did that, because I'm like, that is a smart way to do it.
Because then I don't have to read the entire thing to figure out where we're at here. I can immediately know what I'm feeling. Also, they have magnum opuses, which are like big encounters, big boss stuff that you can just throw at your PCs when they feel like they're ready, is what it says. Yeah, big things. Really, and then you have a city. They based it on a real city. So it's like this living, awesome city that you can explore. And they even show you how monsters can hide in just common everyday things. In the city, you can have these monsters hiding. They've got dozens of monsters inspired by myth and history of the Near East. So you're going to see familiar faces like Vad Tempest, or your new terrifying monsters that you've never seen before too.
This is awesome. This is dope.
This is really cool.
Yeah. I just thought it was so fresh and so unique, and we haven't gotten anything from this. We've had some Oriental stuff, not done super well, but this, and they straight out pointed out, is like, we feel like people are avoiding this content because they're afraid of it. They don't want to perpetuate any harmful stereotypes or anything like that. And he's like, it's more harmful not to address it at all than it is to show historically and culturally what this is like, which is why they were so careful on their research and including members on the writing team that are in that culture, that grew up in that culture. And I think that's super cool, and I think we need more of it. Every time we see a little gems like this, it gives me some hope.
Also,
some encouraging. Plus, the art is just cool. It's got that, what's the word? Not gritty, adventure-y.
It is a little gritty. But it's good gritty. It's like,
it's gothic. It's gothic.
Yeah,
it's got character.
But gothic does have connotations that it belongs to a different kind of culture. Right. To me, it evokes like a very like gothic style, right? Which is kind of its own thing.
It's
but
so cool.
It's just great. It's just great. Like, I'm incredibly excited about it. Everything on here looks great. The art is fantastic. It's presented really, really well. It's something new that we have not seen before. And guys, if you like history, if you love different cultural atmospheres, then you're going to want to check out City of Crescent. And
but Hannah, how much does it cost?
To do that, you simply need $19. $19 is the PDF. That gets you Historica Requiem, City of Crescent, your name in the book, and access to the pledge manager so that you can continually to update that just for $19. Hardcover is very affordable, I think, $45. Gets you the hardcover, your name in the book, exclusive access to the pledge manager, and Alchemy RPG. No, I didn't see what Alchemy RPG was.
So here's the thing. I cannot find an actual photo or photos of what the pledge levels are on the page. Is that just
on
me?
the... I don't know. Stretch goals. No, I don't think so.
So
I'll
that's
just go to the
something
side
that
so I don't pay attention.
I think might do them a disservice because they have obviously more than one
Ooh,
one
they have
pledge
minis.
level.
Yes.
So I think it's a bummer that they don't have that, because that's something that people are gonna jump to. That's kind of one of the big three. Like, what is this? How do I do this? And what can I get? And you're kind of missing the what do I get?
Yeah. I guess because I'm so used to seeing the pledges on the side.
I normally
It's not
like
that
to
big of a
scroll
deal to
down
me.
and see exactly in an image what am I
Oh, the
getting.
things that you're
Like,
getting
what,
in it.
if
Yeah,
I
guess
buy
it's good.
this is exact like the amount
Like the
of money.
mini set with Vlad,
Exactly, I want to see
Shadow
that
Actor,
there. This is
Genie
such a cool
Master.
project, and I'm kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a bummer. I kind of wanted to see what I got.
Yeah. Also, if you want to laugh and you're an English nerd, you should read the quotes that are on the creators on here because they're amazing. Anyway. So yeah, that would be a nice ad if they could add some of those pretty things on there. Would be nice. But $150 gets you like all the things.
So
No, I don't even see this dice set on here.
That's
but
what
this
I'm saying.
looks amazing.
They're missing dice sets. There's all
Yeah.
this stuff in there.
That would be really cool to see.
all that withstanding, though.
Oh, here they are. They're in little images on the very bottom, individual images. So the GM screen looks cool, but it's very small. The dice set looks gorgeous. It's just one die.
Ooh.
Which they're
Like
very,
swirly,
very
twirly
cool, but
gumdrops.
they are so far at the bottom.
Yeah, and then you got that box edition, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Joe, what were you
Yeah,
going to say?
and then $200 for retailers if you're there, and their early bird looks like it's gone. But yeah, $45 for the hardcover. Totally, I would totally do that in a heartbeat. This looks amazing, and I'm super excited for it. And with just a few tweaks, this would be perfect, but it does need a couple of things added in there. But for the creativity of it, the new setting, the span of this, taking history, being able to alter it, just fantastic. I'm gonna give it an 18.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
Go ahead and add that on there. And there we go.
Alrighty.
All right. So, does everyone remember that one project that started all the cake? It started everything. It was that demon with the cake.
Yes.
Well, they're back.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That company, the Printing Goes Ever On, is back with
but
puzzles.
in a quite cakeless way.
In a cakeless way. I wish they
That's
just
sad.
had a miniature cake. I wish they could just give us a nice little callback with an actual
I
cake.
want all demon butts.
All
the time.
only demon
That's
butts.
what I want.
What if we
Nothing
made, guys?
but.
Wait, really quick.
Nothing but.
Nothing but, and we make
Demon butt.
literally a
Nothing but
miniature
cake.
that is just a character, and it just has magnetic replaceable butts. So you could just have different sized butts. Throwing that out into the ether. We'll talk about
Hey.
it later. But
See our Kickstarter next year.
yep. Puzzles and props. These are 3D printable STL files for fantasy and sci-fi props and puzzles for use in an RPG session, LARPs, and cosplay creations. So this is as someone who 3D prints and loves making all of the props and all sorts of things and DIY stuff, this is for you. You want all of these. They are absolutely gorgeous. You got all of these rings. You also get a free STL right here. It's a hand holding an eye, which is super, super cool. But there are all these amazing amulets, cubes and orb puzzles, elemental magic rings, animal figurines. All of these, I mean, they even have all of these cards, the Ring of Mind Shielding, Ring of Regeneration, Ring of Spell Storing, Ring of Feather Fall, and they're all so well done. They are just so deep. Honestly, I kind of want these rings because I'm pretty sure people would just want to wear these rings, right? Like these are just beautiful rings, first of all. But then they have the Goggles of Night, the scroll cases, which are gorgeous, the relay tokens, immovable rod. That's actually really cool. That would be fun to have. You
print these?
Yeah, you can print these.
These don't look printed.
So these are most likely
so
these are
cool.
renders. These will be renders of the actual models, but you could just take that and then print it and then
Alex,
paint it.
I want you to print these and like paint them and then see if we can tell. That's what I want.
What you're also able to see here is that they are supportless. So for those of you who don't know what supportless means, usually you'll need some of these say pre-supported and others say support less. You really need to have supports if you have overhangs, if you're printing something and it's like, for example, if it's above the print plate like this high, it's not going to just print plastic in midair. It needs supports to print on top of. If it's supportless, that means you just hit print and it prints.
And then you just pick it up and use it.
For supports, you have to clip off the supports.
It seems like a lot of these, based on some of the images I'm seeing, are very small, which is cool. Like they're like almost like token-esque, right?
Well, here's the thing. With 3D prints and STLs, when you drop it into the software, the more you know here, you can just adjust the scale with the scale button. You can quite literally just drag it and make them as big as you want. So, for example, the immovable rod, if you have the right size printer, could be this big. So,
I didn't know that you could press the scale button.
You can. I'm trying to teach you that you can just drop this in.
These, so like the moving parts ones.
Yes.
These are like literally printable, and then you can
just put them together and you're set to go.
What? That's so cool. First of all, I love the figurines, the Wondrous Power figurines.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
They are so
Those
cool.
are really cool. But
so there's
those moving ones, though.
All these beautiful props and puzzles and different things that are so well made, and I'm a huge fan of all of these models. They are extremely talented, and they have already raised, let's scroll all the way back up here, all the beautiful models, $55,000 have already been raised with over 1,000 backers. They have 29 days to go, so this pretty much just started.
Wow.
But how much?
Mustache.
There's so much. They are absolutely gorgeous.
I like this.
And if you actually see this is the first image here at the top. Those are actually the painted miniatures. Those are the rings.
Yeah.
So those rings were actually printed and painted. So early bird core bundle set, 3 puzzles to a total to get a basic set of props, 3 puzzles, 34 STLs for $15 or 12 pounds. 12 euro, sorry. 12
Just
euro.
tell me what everything costs. How much does everything cost?
All
I want
in
everything.
$36.
$50?
$36.
No.
Oh, that's for the early bird, though,
The
right?
early bird. The regular
we
all
can
in
still
is
get.
$50.
That's
Right.
ridiculous.
That is
Guys,
actually
still get
ridiculous.
the early
Like, there's
bird.
no
You got
reason to
67
tell-
hours.
There's no reason to like tell people like, oh, there's like $40 you get everything, or $50 you can get,
get
every
everything.
single thing. So just get it all.
You should
like,
just get
why-
it. Honestly.
Bill got
honestly,
so
like, if
worked
you're
up,
gonna
the
do
Brooklyn
this-
accent came out a little bit. That's how you know it's a good deal.
If
Just-
you're
Just
gonna
get it all.
Yeah. So this is an insane deal. Highly recommend.
It's so good.
Gorgeous models. They've done it again. I wish they had a little bit more cake though. Maybe even just a little cake model I would appreciate. Maybe a callback to us. I mean, we're totally that big on YouTube. But that's our second round of projects. We'll be back in a second for our last 3 projects, and we will see you in a sec.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the game master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
Yellow.
All right,
With,
everyone, we
chicken-
are back.
chicken
I
TV.
accidentally hit the button. Hannah's making curry tonight.
I did.
You
I
made
already
curry.
made it. Yeah, I made curry. It was delicious.
That's what happens when
All
you
right.
hit too many buttons. And I forgot to. I also forgot to give the puzzles and props a roll. Nobody noticed. I'm giving them
we
a
were
solid.
all so enamored with
We were
them.
all so
just
enamored.
staring at
I
them.
am going to give them a solid 16. They are
Good call.
gorgeous.
It's good work. I like those guys a lot. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
They do a really great job.
All right. My next one is quick, short, to the point. So we're going to run into it. Ready?
Mhm.
Wondrous items for 5e, Dungeon Scribe, magical oddities. 4 printed item card decks up for 5e unique oddities. And I really like this little tag they have, like, feed the loot goblins, which is
Yes.
really great. 1,200 backers, $116,000 that they've raised so far. And this is Dungeon Scribe's very first project. They've got 8 days left to go. What is this? We've talked about several of these projects before. Some of them have been funny. Some of them have been malfunctioning. Some have been like extremely random. This one is more like straight up good stuff, right? And this is basically a ton of wondrous and magical items. This person, Dungeon Scribe, has created basically a magic item a day or something like that online for years. And they are now compiling all of that information into a single use that you can buy printed cards for as references for your own 5e game. So there are 200 cards in total, 4
Wow.
unique decks that you can get. They are all over tarot size. So they're like,
Oh wow, they're big.
yeah, they're like 80 by 120.
They're like
Oh,
they're like
Lord.
they're like
They're like
jumbo-
jumbo cards.
How do I put them in my binder?
You need a jumbo binder.
I need a jumbo binder.
They're like this big.
Yeah, they're
Holy. That's a big card.
they have really big pieces of artwork on one side, and all of the artwork is unique. That's the one thing about the WotC cards that I hate more than anything else is that like most of them don't even have illustrations on them. Which screw you, WotC. Just
Yeah. Agreed. I paid all this money for these. You can't give me art.
Yeah, so you know what? That frustrates me a lot. But anyways, all of these have unique artwork on them. There's stickers, there's
They're
dice,
gorgeous.
there's reference mats for like some of the more like super powerful. There's storage solutions. You can just look at like all of I mean, this is a project where for what they're giving you is a very simple thing. They're cards with magic items on them. They have really gone all out to offer you every different type of thing that you can get. Another thing that I want to like commend them on is you can actually see the cards. We have given a
Yes.
lot of flack before when we've looked at projects
like
like this
4
where we're like, we
cards.
can't even see the cards.
Mhm.
One thing is there is actually some gifts here where it's really nice because you can see
They're
like
beautiful.
what the cards look like, how they look. And I really like the way, so they have the big body of text that you need for the item, but at the top, they kind of have the damage that it does, the charges that it uses, the duration of the spell, if it has that. All of that stuff is extremely valuable to have in a very quick icon reference. Really love it. I've been getting a little bit more into giving magic items to my players in the campaign that we're working on.
I just got one.
Alex was just the recipient of a really cool homebrew magic item that I basically just made up for specifically for his character to play better. And well, not because he was playing badly, but he's a bard and he can do an animated performance or he can give bardic inspiration. And that's all he can do with his free action. So I basically gave him a magic item that if he hits with it, he gets to do one of those for free.
Oh,
So
nice.
He gets to do
That's
both
nice.
of them more often. And
Yeah.
I just thought it would be more fun
And it
for him to
absorbs
not have
souls,
to
but it's also really
always
cool.
play with it. Yeah. It has like a lot of features.
It's
It's
really cool.
really fun. But I really like doing that. Like players love their magic items. And guess what? If you don't want to homebrew it, if you don't want to just make stuff up, having 200 cards to flip through to look at magic items is a really good way to put some magic items into your campaign. Players love them. As a DM, you should always be, every 5 sessions or so, you should pick a different person in your party that will get a new magical item. I think that that's kind of a good pace to put it on. Definitely give your players magic items when they have their own specific quest storylines. I think that that is another really important thing to do. In fact, that's the reason Alex got his magic item, is because his character just kind of finished a huge mini arc in the campaign that was all based on his character's backstory, which was a lot of fun to go through. So, I really do think as a DM, you need to be putting special bonuses like that for your players into the game. And I think it's something that you can just not think about if you don't purposely make plans to do it. This is a good product. It looks like the stuff that they have on here is very useful. I'm going to talk really quickly about the pricing, but first, Alex, Hannah, I mean, it's a simple project. It's magic items. What do you think?
I like it too. I don't like how big the cards are.
I'm kind of like, why do they need to be that big? Personally,
there's no look.
There's no. They could have just been tarot size.
They're 3. I don't think they're as big as you think.
My card binder.
How big are they?
For literally everything. Look at this. I already look at these guys. I
Yeah,
already
those size.
hate these guys.
I was gonna
Are
say
they this
those.
size?
Yeah,
I already hate these.
They're that size.
I thought they were like bigger, because aren't those
I
tarot
thought they were
size?
bigger too.
Those are
I mean,
tarot
I can
size.
deal with this size, but they're still freaking annoying.
That's the size of them.
Aren't those tarot
No.
size?
I don't know. I never used a tarot.
That's about the size of them. They're like
Yeah.
5.5 inches by 3.5 inches.
Okay.
yeah, I think it'd be
So
this
then they're
size.
not
The
that
card
big. They're
Alex
that
showed
big.
earlier was too big.
Way too
That's
big.
way too big. That's way too big. Okay, that's more manageable. I'm more okay with that. I still prefer these because they make sleeves for these.
I love the stickers. I also.
If you're
love
gonna
the
give me a
dice.
weird size, give me a sleeve for it too.
Right.
All right. So,
But I love the content. Content's good.
Box is
yes.
gorgeous.
I'm just going to talk about the things that I think are really valuable. Don't get the digital version of this. If you're a digital DM, you can look into it, but this is not something you want the digital version of, in my opinion. You want all of the card decks, $60. $60 for 200 magical items. That's basically what, 42 cents a card? So 42 cents a magic item seems like a pretty good, reasonable deal. If you want to go all in and get like the deluxe handouts and the stickers and the thing and the little card stands, you up it to $90. For $125, that's when you get like the storage chest and all of the other like big bonuses. You get dice. Then you go up to $250 and you're getting like super nice fancy dice and a bunch of other stuff that I'm not really that attracted to, like fancier deluxe storage stuff. Really, I think if you're going to back this, that $60 or $90 level is really where you want to be at. You get all of the content, you get the handouts, you get the stuff that you want. And to me, this is where the money's at. Like you look at some of these other projects, like we looked at the one Alex talked about and the one that I talked about, and some of that deluxe stuff, you get minis and you get, like GM screens, and you get cool stuff like this. For this one, I just want the cards, right? It's about the cards. Give me the cards.
And the backers have agreed with you. There's 506 on there.
Yeah, so that's where the value of this one is at. I would say if you're going to back this, go in at $60, get all of the cards that they have to offer here, stack up your magical and up your magic game as a DM. I will roll this project a 16 because it knows what it is, and it is just reveling in the fact that it says, hey, we are magic items and we're presenting them in a really classy, nice way. So,
Good roll.
I like
I
it.
agree.
Good stuff.
All right.
All right, mine is short but super, super fun as well. My third project of the night is Herbalist's Primer.
Crushing it, by the way.
Yes,
Crushing
it is. I'm super excited about $425,000 with 10,000 backers and 16 days left to go. Plenty of time to still pick this up. And I think the reason why it's crushing it so much is because there's a section of nerds out there who love taking real life stuff and using it for their players or in their world that they are creating, which is like me. I am a huge herbalist fan. I am obsessed with like how they used to make medicines out of plants that work better than the medicines that we make now, and how so many of our medicines are still made out of these same plants and we don't even realize it. There's so many things like that. So what this is, if you don't know, Herbalist Primer is a system agnostic, meaning it can be used in anything, illustrated guide to real world magical plants. These are plants that actually exist. They've done a ton of research across biomes. You're going to see stuff from the jungle, things from the desert, things from the hinterlands. Like, you're going to see stuff everywhere. Beautifully illustrated. It's going to tell you all about that plant. It's going to tell you its folklore principles. So like the spiritual aspects of it, like sage for Native Americans used to cleanse, right? As well as medicinal aspects, how you can use them in potions, if they're edible or not. And then they just have some really fun stuff in there from folklore, like poisonous plants that actually change and morph to look like they're not poisonous. So that when your players are foraging through the forest, maybe they stumble across this and it morphs itself to look like an edible berry, right? Jody, got something? You look like you wanted to say something. No, you're just liking this?
This looks like a textbook.
Yeah.
Like it looks like something that is like, if I picked this up and it was not the wiser,
you know what it's
I'd be
based
like,
on?
is this real?
So
it's based on the old school herbologists, like journals and stuff that they had.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's based on. So yeah, it's kind of textbooky.
Alex reviewed this Heliana's Guide to Monster Hunting project a couple months back. And my one criticism of it is, man, so much of what this book is offering is awesome, but it's just so like crunchy and in the weeds. It's just stuff that I don't like to put into my campaign. I'm like, this is like tripling down on the crunchy nature of like,
you don't like to put in.
Yeah, like
I love it.
If my players were like,
so
what
much.
type of plants can I find if I forage around?
This is the Druid's
area?
Guide.
I'm there. I'm there. I love it. You can have plot hooks, quest ideas. There's all of those around these magical plants as well. So you got this disease and you need a cure for it. You're going to find this plant. Like there's tons of side quests that you can do around that stuff. I just love it. I love everything about it.
It's
Language of Flowers is another one. Could you imagine a druid having this and then communicating and sending secret messages based on flowers?
You know what would be super cool? I think if this was like an in-person thing and you obviously bought the book, you let obviously if somebody's playing a druid, you let them borrow it for each, like, as an item. But they go to a library and they find this on the shelf. And then the druid gets to use it during the campaign. Like when they show up at your table, he'd be like, "Here's your book that you picked up the other day."
Absolutely,
they obviously can't
that would
take
be
it home because
so
you bought it. But then that character
fun.
then is able to like look through that book from now on.
I had a character once that was a monster hunter that had Volo's Guide, and that
so
was
cool.
that was her thing that she carried around everywhere. Yes, that would be a perfect way to use this and be super helpful for your party, because then you could pick up magical plants that could be used for potions, for poisons, for salves, for all sorts of things. If you wanted to run that more realistic kind of style campaign where you actually do have to forage and you have to craft these things. You don't just come across health potions all the time. Maybe you have to make them. This is how you do it. And I find that incredibly fun because I am just a nerd. And I think we have thoroughly established that through all of these episodes. Is anything that everyone else thinks is boring, I'm all about. I think it's great.
So let's talk about the easiest stretch or easiest pledge levels.
Yeah, there's only two. There's only two
two
here. You can have the digital version. This is one book. It knows exactly what it is. Digital version, $20. Hardcover, $40.
I'm glad they didn't bog this down with like, oh, here's stickers of flowers. Here's a flower pot you can get with our logo.
Here's dice that have little flowers in them.
I'm glad they didn't do that. I think that wouldn't be true to the style of this product.
No.
And I think it's very straightforward, and I think that's very smart.
which is very weird to me because they're showing things that are like, here's a poster and here's a notebook and here's like they're showing stuff on the page. Here's a deck of cards, right? They're showing a lot of
Herbalist,
stuff.
yeah.
And in fact, I'm gonna try to see
You can get the notebook and the cards as add-ons.
Okay,
Yes.
so basically the pledge levels are simple, but there are other
Yes,
add-ons.
there are some add-ons. So if you want
Wait.
to do a notebook,
Hold up. Physical tier includes hardcover book, poster, notebook, the physical version of
No.
system neutral plant-based adventure as a zine, physical and version
oh my gosh,
flashcards.
that includes a ton of stuff. Does it have the flashcards with it too?
Yeah,
Dude, $40. This is a steal,
That's-
guys.
that's a steal.
value I have seen
I've
in a
ever
That's
very
seen.
long time.
insane.
That is not.
Good.
I didn't
on
even
them.
realize that. That's
Holy crap.
amazing.
Wow, that's probably going to
so
change.
good.
That's probably going to affect your role that you give it.
Right,
It
Hannah?
probably is.
How about that segue?
Yeah, that was pretty great. So I recognize that you're not everyone's gonna love this. Joe, I recognize that you probably don't love this, but I'm in love.
I appreciate it.
I know, but I'm in love. I'm in love with this, and this is an arbitrary score. So this is going to get a 17. It's not my highest of the night. I don't feel quite right doing that, but it is so good for what it is. It's that old school style, herbalist style. I love it.
I mean, if you want to give it a +1 for just having all that content for $40, I think that's
Okay, I'll do
valid.
that. 18.
All
And I
right,
added
and
that
we're
+1.
finally to the easiest part of the night.
All right.
Oh, this
all
is
right.
fun.
Alex's dice time.
Is that what
Is
we're
that the
going
song
with
now?
for the? Is that the song?
If there's any musically talented people out there that are fans of the show, if you want to make like an audio song for Alex's special dice time, then I think that
Don't add special because I feel like
Yeah,
that
well-
makes it bad.
no, I think that that's why.
Let's
we
not keep it
should.
special. Let's
Yeah.
not add special because then it's like it's my special dice time.
Special dice time.
I like it. In fact, that's what we're gonna call it from now on.
No.
So,
Oh.
All right.
Join us for Alex's special dice time.
Special dice.
Those
time.
of you who don't know, I am the resident dice goblin at Roll for Review, and I always pick my favorite dice project of the week. These ones, the heroic dice of metallic luster. First of all, the name. The name is just great. The
Lusty.
heroic dice of metallic luster. I think that's so great. They're bordered metallic dice with sparkly accents, unique colors, and a signature font. These are so cool. I think they're super fun. I actually play with a set of metallic dice, so I really like metallic dice. I end up just kind of sitting here and just kind of like rolling them because they're heavy. It's kind of like a fidget toy almost. But let's see these dice. And what we normally do is we all look at them and we all decide what our favorite ones are. So let's take a quick look through. We got the blue with gold, silver with purple, gold with silver, purple with silver, orange with black, the black with orange font. So we have the reverse of those two. The silver with black, the red with black.
Why couldn't they give? You know what?
Why is there no name?
I detract from this because these should all have weird ass names.
Let's name
That
That's
is a
actually true.
part- That is
Let's
a part
name
of
them,
what
Joe.
makes a great dice Kickstarter.
That is true.
making, like these should be
Ridiculous
called like
names.
Goblin Blood and
I agree.
Werewolf. I was gonna say Werewolf Urine, but that's I don't know why, but like
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
like, but like that's what they call them. They call them like
Yeah, I
Troll
do. I
Bane,
do. I am kind of sad.
Mind Flayer.
So
Plus.
let's name our favorite ones
Okay.
and see if you can pick which one it is based on the name. Because we always pick our favorites.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, good. Because I don't have mine.
Favorite one is easily multicolor. Love multicolor, and I would call it Psychedelic Fumes.
That is
Purple.
also my favorite, but may I counter with the name Netherrealm?
Ooh, yeah, that's better.
So is
Also-
it the purple with silver?
No, it's the it's actually
Multicolor.
multicolor. It's the one that's got like the iridescent. It's right under red with
Like
silver
almost
font.
like superheated metal rainbow effect.
Oh, I see it.
I also want to say I have
There's
one.
a lot going on.
I have the one that I hate the most, and that is the silver with red. For some reason, makes my eyes hurt.
Psychedelic
I'm the same.
Nightmare is what I call that. I don't like that one.
Oh,
That's
I
not
love
good.
iridescent.
Yes.
All right, Hannah, what is
Okay,
your favorite?
My favorite is what do I want to name it? Shoot. I'd say Dragon's Loot.
Which color is that?
Silver with gold.
Nope.
Oh.
Gold
Richer.
with blue.
Nope.
Ah, I don't know. I can't keep guessing.
Gold with silver.
Oh, it's the other one. Gold with silver.
Oh, the very
Gold with
first one?
silver.
The
No.
No.
Third one.
Third one.
That
I
is
like
a
the
good
gold
one.
with silver.
I
I
like,
like
it
the
better than the other
classic
one.
look to it. It's clean and sparkly, and I like the sparkles. My next favorite would have been that purple with silver, though.
That is-
That one looks good too.
So,
Bardic
price point.
inspiration.
Price point for this, by the way. One 7-piece dice collection, $25 for metal
Oh, that's
dice.
really good
That's
for
an
metal
insane
dice.
That's
Here's
half
the
the
thing.
price of what
Here's
you would
the thing.
expect.
That was really good.
Great dice.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible names.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great price.
Terrible
names.
names.
Terrible names.
And I am going to roll these with just a solid right down the middle 14. I
Yeah,
think they're not the
they're
most
nice
creative
dice.
dice in the world, but they are really cool. And the
Oh,
price
they're
point
from
is
Easy
great.
Roller.
Yeah.
Easy Roller is
Hey.
good.
Easy Roller Dice Company.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Name your dice.
Take 20 minutes and give your dice some stupid names.
We appreciate
We like
that.
stupid names.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
In fact, call us. We'll name them for
We'll
free.
name them.
We'll
We'll give you Nether Realm for free. And,
Yeah,
and
Nether
what,
Realm and
Dragon's
Werewolf
Loot?
Werewolf
urine.
urine.
Werewolf
Those are
urine?
both A+.
There you go. All right, so those have been all of our projects for the night. Joe, you normally end it with a question as you crack up over werewolf urine. What is your question for the
you
night?
want to shout out on our social medias, or do you want to do that later?
I'll do that after we finish up.
Okay. I want to end this with a question for everybody. And this is very specific to the Don't Tell Mom and Dad Kickstarter that we looked at. If you had to run a kids on bike style campaign, what is the bad guy? What is the evil force in the town that your group of kids has to encounter? You're the DM. You're setting everything up. What is the bad guy element of this town?
Okay. I already have it. And
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, I cheated. I'm cheating because I'm taking a storyline from an old show that I used to love as a kid.
Yeah, that's fine.
In the old show, Codename Kids Next Door, if you remember that show, it was on Cartoon Network. There was an episode where through the pool, through the community pool, was a portal to their negative evil selves.
Ooh, Negaselves.
But there was specifically through the community pool because one of the characters was scared of swimming. And I absolutely
Interesting.
love, it's like the kids on bikes, and then somehow, it's kind of like a Scrolls thing with Marvel, they start to get replaced by their evil selves.
Oh,
I
and
think
then
that
it's
would be
super
super
deep
cool.
because you are your own worst enemy.
Right?
You know?
It's like the reflection in the
Super
pool.
deep.
So I think that would be super fun if they were like negative selves coming from the upside down of their community pool.
I love it. Mine, I would go classic. I would go Alien Principle.
Alien Principle.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would be a coven of witches that is run through a suburban MLM, and nobody believes them because it's all white women.
Karen's.
They're all,
Karens?
it's literally all Karens, but they're a coven of witches
Oh my
that are all
God.
involved, and that's how they recruit new members, is
Yeah.
by getting them to join their MLM.
Oh
Yep.
my god, I love it.
Yep.
Those of you who are watching, who have watched this episode, go ahead and answer in the comments what would your villain be for your Kids on Bikes storyline. Thank you so much for joining us for Roll for Review. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our videos, and we'll try to be on a little bit more often if we can, but just keep an eye out on our Twitter as well. We normally post about when we're going to be online, and thank you so much for joining us, and we will